Sure. Sure.
All right, we are live, guys. We are back. Fantasy football's back. The Super Bowl is over. We are back, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's happening, man?
It's time to talk 2024 football, counselor. I'm ready.
I'm super excited. Wait till some people come in here. People aren't expecting this because we don't really do this, but we're going to be doing it. I want to do like a morning show. I want to do more of these. I want to be able to be there in the morning, like those, because you always have those kid sheeps shows that like, hey, Bill and Jay from XYZ FM radio, and they're just talking about stuff that nobody cares, but we could listen to us in the morning. That would be cool. Talk fantasy. Right?
Absolutely. Sure.
Yeah, so no one's expecting us to be on now. I think a lot of people are at work, but we're just going to continue on with the show either way. Today I want to talk about second year standouts. Okay. Second year standouts is a topic of today's show. We got 5 players that I think will, 3 that I've got that'll boom. And guys, drop the questions below if you guys are in. We're going to make this interactive with you guys. 3 players I got that I think will absolutely boom this year at second year. And you've got a couple as well, Jim. I'm excited to dive in. These second year players can really take off, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, but I'm gonna drop some truth bombs on you, counselor. I hope you're ready for it. So,
wait, my players. What, you're not happy with them?
Well, I've got some issues. I've got issues related to the cutting system, but we can talk about it. We could have a civilized discussion about it.
You're gonna have some issues, all right, if you debate my guys that much, because I like them a lot. So. All right, so the first guy here, I love him, and you know what? Somebody named Joseph, ironically. It's not me. I don't know what that is. Joseph, he's got a Nike shoe. Tank Dell, that's my first guy, so he queued it up for me. I love Tank Dell. Now, a lot of people are going to debate because Nico had the stronger end of the season, and a big part of that, the only part of that, is that Tank Dell wasn't on the field. So with Tank Dell being there this year, coming back, young, hungry, remember CJ Stroud requested him, as a rookie. I want Tank Dell on my team. And Tank Dell, I believe, is the one. And you're going to get him for better value based on the current mock draft. Tank Dell's coming after round 5. Nico, what is he, like 3rd round ADP based on Kinshipsis already? Like, he's coming off high, Nico Collins, right?
Yeah, both of them are, man. I got to say, people are hot on Houston this year. I'm not surprised. It was a very exciting year. Tank Dell ended the season with 75 targets and 11 games played. Are you there, counselor? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I've just made you solo.
Okay.
I gave you the center stage.
I apologize, man. You dropped off the screen. I'm like, did the internet just go bad? I don't know. But anyway, 75 targets. He ended up with 47 catches for 709 yards, 7 touchdowns. Outstanding. I mean, really, we were in on Tank Dell from like day 1 of the NFL draft, and it's great to see him achieve what he achieved. A lot of people didn't have faith in the guy because he's a smaller guy.
Right.
But these small, fast players can be successful in the NFL, like Devonta Smith. Tank Dell's very similar to that. The only problem I have right now is his ADP, man, going off way too early, in my opinion. Right now, he is going at, let's see here, the wide receiver 18 at an ADP of 29.3. That's 3rd round. By the way, Nico Collins, wide receiver 9, ADP 16.9. So these guys are very, very expensive on the draft board right now. And I'm just not sure they're worth that much.
I disagree. I love CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud's the future, man. I think he's outstanding.
Stroud is awesome. And really, if you're asking me who do I want, I would want CJ Stroud, but I'm not sure I can justify these prices. I mean, really, again, Tank Dell averaged 6.8 targets a game. Nico Collins averaged 7.2 targets per game. That's not a lot of volume. And when you're talking 2nd and 3rd round players, you want guys that are getting 130, 140 targets a year. If you're taking, if you're taking a wide receiver, I'm just finding it very, very hard to justify such a high draft capital. Now again, this is just early best ball. Best ball tends to overvalue wide receivers early like this. Right. So I'm guessing they will probably slip down a little bit, but we're still talking, these are guys that are going to go, both of them, probably by the end of the 4th round when we get down to the regular season. But that's my big issue is like ADP 29.3. That's the middle of the 3rd round. to take Tank Dell. I'm just not sure I could do it. I don't think I can pull the trigger.
M Boy is saying Dell has huge explosive plays, though, and Strout looks for him a lot for touchdowns. It's true. I think Dell is ultra explosive. I think he's ultra exciting. He's ultra young. I'm super excited about it. And when you look at these scenarios, it's the Sheeps is trying to figure stuff out. Last year, Jamar Chase was round 1, and Higgins was a late round 2. I never, ever, ever invest in a wide receiver 2 in the top 3 rounds. In other words, there's some confusion here. So we got to get clarity on who the wide receiver 1 is. And I don't think we're going to know that till the season starts, to be honest with you. But you got to go with your intuition. You got to go with your gut. You got to look at what we saw last year. And I feel Dell will emerge. So when you are drafting either Dell or Nico Collins this year, you're basically rolling the dice looking for that wide receiver 1. So it is a risky pick, I understand. But that's where they're going to go. You're going to have to get them in those rounds. I don't see it any other way, because you're basically 50-50ing it on a wide receiver 1. You're getting in round 2 and 3. You get the value of the 3rd round for a wide receiver 1, but you get a chance that it might be a dud or a potential average. Or it could be like both of these guys get fed evenly. But I think Dell will emerge. That's my early thoughts, man, to be honest.
Yeah, like I said, I don't doubt the talent. I love the player, but I'm just saying, like, to take him in the 3rd round, I just can't do it. If he was getting like 9 or 10 targets a game, I think I'd be way more in on him. But the fact that he only was getting like 7 targets a game, really, again, he was a rookie. He emerged during the course of the season. He became a more important part of the offense as the season went on. But that, and then also just the fact that he's a smaller guy. And can he hold up for a full season? I mean, this rookie year, he only played 11. So does he have the physicality to make it through an entire season for someone that you're spending a draft pick on in the 3rd round? And I just want to give you examples of who else is going in the 3rd round right now for wide receivers. Chris Olave, Michael Pittman, DK Metcalf, Mike Evans. Frankly, I'd rather have one of those guys
I only like
at that price.
I only like Olave. Mike Evans, I think last year was kind of his last hurrah. He may have one.
Yeah. He's going to be 32 this next year, which, not a lot of upside there. But, Pittman just had a fantastic season. Metcalf is still the one on that team.
I don't know. JSN takes a step up, I think. JSN takes a step up. We'll see.
We'd like to see that, but it's a crowded receiving room.
Yeah. So if it's crowded, give me the youth of Tank Dell and the upside of CJ Stroud over the uncertainty of, that's how I look at it. Way more upside with Dell. All right. Who do you have here as a good 2nd-year breakout? Who do you have?
Okay, so the player that this is a player we loved from the beginning of last season from the draft. Rashee Rice, wide receiver for Kansas City, had a great season, a great postseason, has become a key part of this offense in a way that Sky Moore never did.
Right.
I mean, the dude is getting about 8 or 9 targets a game. He ended the season with 102 targets, 79 catches, 938 yards, 7 touchdowns utilized in the in the end zone. That's fantastic. He was second only to Kelsey, who had 121 targets. And in the postseason, he got 33 targets versus Kelsey, who got 37. So he's not the number 1 receiver, but he is the number 1 wide receiver on that team by a wide margin over any of the other receivers.
Who was a 16-rounder, by the way.
Absolutely. We loved him from the minute he was drafted. We're like, yes, give me Rashee Rice. But just like Tank Dell, the cat's out of the bag, and everybody knows that he is a top tier wide receiver. Right now, he's going as the wide receiver 12 on draft boards at ADP 20. So again, right about the same point that Nico Collins is going. And I'm just like, can I really justify a 2nd round pick on Rashee Rice? I love him, but it just seems like it's a little bit high given that he's not even the one. Kelsey's still the one. And so, I was much more excited about it until I found out where he's going on the draft board. Because I figured he'd be like a 3rd round guy or a 4th round guy. Yes, on that for sure. But I don't know.
All right. Speaking of, I got to do a screen share here. Speaking of Travis Kelce, I've been on the Travis Kelce hate train here for a while. Apparently, Travis Kelce takes photo at restaurant with cop after Kansas City parade shooting. Jim, what do you think is? I think this is ridiculous. He's out there smiling. He's having fun. People just died. and he's out there smiling. And this is ridiculous, Jim.
It's not like he was going out there soliciting people to take selfies. This cop came up to him, and who would turn that down, right? I mean,
I don't know.
it's
I'd
the
be like,
cop saying, "Hey, Travis, I'm a big fan. Can I get a picture with you?"
I
And
don't
Kelsey's
know,
like,
man.
"Absolutely, man. You do a nice face." I mean, what were they both going to be somber on the selfie?
Kids, I know, but kids were hurt. People die. I mean, it's kind of the.
Oh yeah. It's awful. It's freaking
I wouldn't be
awful what happened
smiling. I wouldn't
yesterday.
be in the
It's
street
not Kelsey's
smiling.
fault.
I don't know. I still wouldn't be here smiling, Jim. I don't know. I'd let me know what you guys think. Is this narcissistic behavior? Obviously, it's narcissistic behavior, but is this right to be out there smiling? Hey man, hey, look, it's me, it's Kelsey. I don't know, man. I've been picking on Kelsey a lot, but I don't like the dude. I know you're a you're a fan, aren't you? You like Kelsey?
I'm a fan. Look, I got Kelsey Crunch it right behind my head here, my giant head.
Those are
See
Pat
it?
Mahomes. Those are
Kelsey Crunch.
is it Kelsey? Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm not a fan of him, but anyway, just wanted to talk about that real quick. So back to it. Rashee Rice, I like him. I like the upside. And he was a 16 rounder. We talked about him. He was great value. Now the Chiefs are riding Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on here. The next guy I like is Jordan Addison. Now, obviously, 10 games last year played by Justin Jefferson. Okay, so 10 games. Still managed to get over 100 receiving targets, which is pretty good. Addison had 108, pretty much played the entire season, just under 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. With Jefferson coming back, now that's the thing. So Jefferson wants like a mega deal. He wants to be like the highest paid receiver. With that, he's got all these stipulations like I got to make sure I know who the quarterback is. I need to make sure it's Kirk Cousins. I need to X, Y, Z. So obviously he deserves to get paid. He got hurt last year. It was a bad year, but he's still a great receiver. I don't know. If I'm the Vikings, I still think I'm good with Addison. I think Addison could be the true one, can't he? Or do you want to pay, make Jefferson the highest paid receiver in the game? I think that's expensive.
Well, it is expensive, but it's in this game today, it's worth it. You need to have these elite receivers, and Justin Jefferson has proven himself to be a top 3 receiver. I think they would be fools to let Justin Jefferson go. I mean, at worst case scenario, they're going to franchise tag the guy. But that's my big issue. When we talk about the Cuddy system and we talk about you don't take wide receiver 2s, especially when there's still 1s on the board. Jordan Addison's still the 2. I just don't think he becomes the 1. And don't forget, there's also Hawkinson there. So there's multiple target hogs on this team. So it's very hard. It's going to be very hard for him to grow his role. I mean, he had a fantastic rookie season, top notch, way to go, Addison. But Kirk Cousins only played 8 games. Justin Jefferson only played 10. If those guys come back and play the whole season, he's just going to be the clear number 2. And that's the whole thing. Right now he's going as the wide receiver 32, which actually isn't too bad. I kind of like that placement. He's going to ADP 54.3. But if there is still wide receiver 1s on the board, which there are at this point in the draft, right now, Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley, Terry McLaurin, George Pickens. These are all guys that are going at around the same point that Addison's coming off the board. And I'm like, Cuddy's system, I'd have to take one of these 1s over someone like Addison as much as I like Addison. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at.
I got to see again, all this is predicated on what they do with, Justin Jefferson, how much he's going to get paid, what the whole deal is. Is he going to be disgruntled? And another thing, is he going to be injured again? 10 games, was that his injury got out of his system? Hopefully that was it and we can move forward. But I hope he's not injury prone. That's my main concern. What if he becomes injury prone and then we got issues, right?
Yeah, but his first 3 seasons, he didn't miss a single game. This was the first time he missed any time. So I don't have injury concerns for him. I mean, injuries do happen. It happened a lot this past year, man. There was a lot of injuries this past year. But like I said, I don't think there's any way that Justin Jefferson does not play for the Vikings this year. At worst case scenario, they will franchise tag the guy and he'll be on for at least this season. Like I said, when you're on the draft board and it's the 5th round and you've got a choice between Amari Cooper and Jordan Addison or Terry McLaurin, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take the number 1. I'm going to take the number 1 on the team over this guy. So, that's where I'm at with him. So,
All right. So you got another second year standout. Again, I think Dell, Addison, they're going to stand out this year. I think there's a ton of upside there. Who else do you have here?
well, I'm excited about Dalton Kincaid this next year. You know, he was number 2 on the team for targets this past year as a tight end.
Yeah.
Had 91 targets, ended up with 73 catches, 673 yards, and only 2 touchdowns. So that's definitely a place where he can improve.
Yeah.
Is bring those touchdown numbers up. He was 8th amongst tight ends this past year, so great for a true, for a true freshman. And right now he's going as the 6th tight end off the board at ADP 67. Little high. I mean, again, all these guys I'm looking at, I'm like, man, they're going way higher than I thought they would.
Yeah.
But the upside of Kincaid, I think, is fantastic for this next year. He's got room to grow his role, and you don't know what's going on with Stephon Diggs. I
No.
don't know what's going on with that whole situation, but the fact that he was number 2 on the team for targets is very encouraging for the next year. And as a tight end, if you can get a guy that can get you, 100 targets as a tight end, that's fantastic. You got yourself a top 6 tight end then.
What I haven't looked at Dawson Knox's contract. Is he coming back? I have to take a look here.
You know what? He might be, but even so, he was completely irrelevant this year. He
'Cause he
only
was
had
hurt,
like
though, but he was
33
hurt, though.
targets.
He was
It
hurt,
was
though. Like, he was hurt.
he was hurt for a portion of the season, but target volume was just not there for him. His targets fell off a cliff from the
Yeah.
past year. So that leads me to believe that, Kincaid is the one that's going to be targeted going forward. So I like that.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, Diggs, I'm not really sold on what Diggs is going to do. We don't know what he's going to do. Is he disgruntled? How many years does he have left in him? Gabe Davis didn't do much. It's going to be interesting to see, man. I think he could be good value. It just sucks that, like, and we're going to find the next Sam Laporta, right? We're going to find the next good players and all that. But it just really sucks, honestly, that, Sam Laporta, everyone's going to be riding him this year. We saw it, but I mean, that's all part of it, right? We see things before it happens. We do well that fantasy year. That's why you get 16 rounds. If you haven't gotten 16 rounds, get it right now. Use code early line to save. We're going to link it below, or just go to thefantasyfootballcouncil.com. And I'm telling you, man, it's like we see things before they happen. So we got to find this year's next Laporta because the sheep are now riding him. It just sucks we can't get Laporta in the 10th round or after this year, unfortunately. Really sucks.
Right.
All right, my last guy here, I like him, but this is one of those ones where, like, the perfect storm kind of has to brew, and it could, is Tajay Spears. Now, the reason I like him is that even with Derrick Henry there, he looked good, showed some flash. His cutting ability looks good. His hands look good. I'm really interested to see, first of all, I think Henry's going to be on the move. He's 30 years old, dude. Like, we're going to get to I want to get your opinion on Henry as well, because I'm going to give you my feedback on if I'm going to draft him or not this year. Drop a comment below, guys. Are you interested in Derrick Henry this year? 30 years old, man. Probably moving to a new team, maybe the Cowboys, maybe the Ravens. I heard Cowboys, maybe a home for him. And then if he's on the Cowboys, do we like him there? But I really like Tajay Spears. Now, typically, I wouldn't get excited about a guy that was a backup, but he was backup to the king, Derrick Henry. You don't just sit Derrick Henry. He's been the workhorse all the time, right? But he got his opportunity. Looked good, Tajay did. And he was a 3rd round pick. Now, if he was a 4th or 5th round pick, I'd be a little concerned that he may not be the starter. The fact that he cracked the first 3 rounds is the fact that the Titans obviously did some research. They know about running backs, right? Because they had Henry for a long time, and they drafted him in the 3rd round, meaning there's an opportunity that he could be the one. Now, do they bring in a veteran, or do they draft a running back early to get that RB1 spot if Henry shipped off? What do you think? I think they bring in a veteran, maybe like I'm just using this as an example, but like a Melvin Gordon, or bring in like someone like a Zach Moss to kind of fill in that running back backfield. But if not, I don't see any reason Tajay isn't the one if Henry shipped off. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think Henry is gone. He is not under contract this year. They're certainly not going to pay him another $16 million to play at his age. So I do not expect him to be there. And I do very much like Tajay's upside for this year. It's very exciting. Last year, 100 carries, 70 targets, playing behind Derrick Henry. That's outstanding. I mean, especially the 70 targets, absolutely fantastic for fantasy football. Right now he is going at ADP 69, which is fantastic deal, man. I would love to get him every chance I can at that point in the draft, because if Derrick Henry leaves, this guy's jumping up to the 4th round, at a minimum.
What's
So
amazing? What's amazing is that he had 100 attempts on the ground, averaging four.
yeah.
Actually averaged more yards per carry than Henry. He averaged 4.5 yards per carry, and Henry was at 4.2. Managed to steal away 2 rushing touchdowns, but at the goal line had 1 receiving. Henry had no receiving touchdowns last year, but 100 attempts with the King there, who hoarded away 280 attempts. So let's do some math here, some basic math, Jim. This is why I get excited about Tajay Spears, right? 280 targets are freed up no matter who comes in. Okay. Tajay's been in the system for a year, right?
Mhm.
And with the 280 targets there last year, he still managed to get 100 rushes. So we're looking at a floor, bare minimum, scraping the bottom of the barrel. This guy rushes the ball 150 times. Out of those 280 that are free, he's definitely getting 50, maybe 100.
Oh, easily,
Let's say
easily.
100. Let's say he gets 100 out of the 280. We're looking at 200 rushing attempts from Tajay Spears this year. That's like unless they bring in who would they bring in? Maybe Saquon Barkley or someone like that. I don't know if they would do something like that though.
Yeah, I mean, certainly that could happen, but
Yeah.
Saquon's going to be very expensive. I've heard the Chargers are interested in Saquon, which is kind of whoop.
I lost
Sorry,
your-
this
I
thing
lost
just fell
your
out of my
piece.
ear, which definitely excites me. But yeah, I mean, if they bring in like a Zach Moss or a Madison or something like that, I'm not going to be worried at all.
No, me neither.
Tajay will definitely be the one. But right now, the Titans' biggest concern this offseason is they need to get themselves a quarterback. I don't think Levis is the answer. Levis isn't going to
No,
take him
I think
anywhere.
he's good. No, what are you talking? I think Levis steps up this year. What do you mean?
I'm just not. I wasn't. There wasn't anything that he did this past year that really blew me away. I'm guessing Hopkins isn't going to be on the team either this year. It definitely seems like a rebuilding year, but I think they need to use their pick to get themselves a quarterback that might be able to take them to the next level.
Levis
So
had an 80. He was 43rd in passer rating at 84.4. Not good.
yeah,
But
that's not good.
8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the year. 9 games started. Like, he didn't really get going fully. You never know. He had that one boom game, didn't he? Like in week
That was his first game, right? He got those 3 touchdown passes
four,
to
four,
Hopkins.
four touchdowns in a game. He was like Al
Right,
Bundy.
right. And everybody was like, whoa, this is awesome. And then he didn't do anything else. So, I wasn't impressed by Levis's play. This is a quarterback driven league. And if you're saddled with a bad quarterback, there's only so far you can go. Same situation with Atlanta. Atlanta needs to get themselves another quarterback. Ritter clearly is not the answer, nor is anyone else on that team. And they're not going to really go anywhere unless they can get themselves a franchise quarterback. That's what they need. You need a franchise quarterback.
What position do you think the Texans will focus on the draft? I mean, they don't have a running back. Damian Pierce is not the deal, man. He's just not.
Yeah, I mean, Singletary was decent. I think they're going to extend Singletary because he was just on a 1-year contract. But I think what I think is going to happen. This is just me totally speculating, but I think they're going to spend a high draft pick on a wide receiver. I think they're going to load up the weapons for CJ Stroud to get him to the next level, which he's almost there already in his
I don't think
year.
they need one. I think Dell is high caliber. I think Dell and Nico are good receivers.
Lots of people said that when Joe Burrow had just before they brought in Jamar Chase, because he had Tyler Boyd and he had T. Higgins, and those guys were both really good. And they're like, why would they spend a first round draft pick on a wide receiver when they got these 2 guys which are pretty good? And it's like, oh, okay, I get it.
Boyd sucks. I never thought Boyd was good. I think the other 2 are way better. I don't think Boyd was anything great. You needed a true one there, and I don't think even Higgins is a true one.
Higgins was good in his first year with Burrow when it was just the 2 of them. But yeah, I mean, again, receiver 1, but again, that's a guy who's a free agent. That's a guy that could end up in Houston. You never know. But anyway, that's a concern that I have for Houston right now, is that they're going to bring in another receiver. Because again, CJ Stroud is a fantastic quarterback. He is he needs target. He needs players to target. And I think that's where they could get a true wide receiver 1, an elite wide receiver 1 onto that team and really just take it to the next level. So that's my speculation.
All right, Jim, anything else you want to add here? We're going to start doing more live shows, so turn on the bell. You definitely don't want to miss it. I mean, we are in like the heart of off season right now. So imagine this like when we're booming. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's
draft.
right. That's right. We're already looking at this stuff. I just want to bring up, I did have a third player that I was initially very excited about. Anthony Richardson, quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. Love the team. I really like the coaches. I like the talent that's around him. Obviously, he had a very stunted season because he was injured a lot last year. But the upside is tremendous on this guy. But when I started doing my research on him, he's right now going as the QB6 at ADP 54. I'm like, oh, I was hoping he'd be like a guy to be like a QB 10, QB 11, someone like you could pick up later
Right.
with some real upside. But I'm like, I can't recommend him at that price. He's too risky, especially with the injury risk with that guy. But anyway, it was one that I was like, oh, I'd be very excited about what he can do this next year. But I'm not going to pay that. I'm not going to do that.
When I look at any type of quarterback, I'm looking at a guy that's proven. I don't mess around, especially with my QB1, right? If I'm not investing a high draft capital in a guy that's, gonna be a question mark, whether it be injury or anything. So that's important. That's important to me, So
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I can understand why he's at the QB6. The guy's an
right.
athletic freak, and he's got the rushing ability, which again is worth so much in fantasy football. Those rushing quarterbacks are so damn valuable. I can see why he's there, but I just think it's just too much. It's too expensive. There's really good quarterbacks that are still on the board at this point of the draft. I mean, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. I think even CJ Stroud is after this guy. So it's like, I'd rather have any of those guys over Anthony Richardson.
Yeah,
I just can't see any reason to take him. So I took him off my list.
I don't trust Burrow. Do you trust Burrow after all his injuries? Like, is he over the hill of injuries? Like, I'm not sold on. I'm not trusting Burrow. I don't feel good about that guy.
I don't know. I mean, I think last year was a bad season for him.
A bunch of those.
It was an injury riddled season, but we've seen him do it. We've seen him play at a very high level. We've seen him. I mean, shoot, he took his team to the Super Bowl a couple of seasons ago. And so I can just chalk it up as a bad season for him. And now you get this because everybody's afraid of the injury risk. But look at the talent around him. Look at the talent on that team. Jamar Chase. I think he's still good. I think he's still a solid play. So I'm not out on Joe Burrow at all. I'm going to chalk it up. Bad season. Just like you're not out on Aaron Rodgers, right?
No,
you're
I'm
still
not
in on
out.
Aaron Rodgers. Dude played 30 seconds of football this past year. Okay.
But it's Aaron Rodgers. You kind of know it, So. All right, Jim. Well, thank you guys for being here. And I just realized when we're uploading this, Jim, we got to just add a thumbnail to the live feed. This is like I got to get used to this because then people will know what we're talking about. Now it's just like a general banner. So next time,
oh, I see.
We're gonna add a thumbnail, get more people in here. That's probably why not as many people clicked. So we got to up that up. So we're upping our live game, everybody. We're getting there. We're gonna get better at it. So it's our first rodeo. We had a couple wardrobe malfunctions. Your ear plug came out. Other than that, it was a smooth go.
Right? Yeah, no nip slip though. So that's fine.
We don't need that. We don't need any hairy nip slips. So, no hairy nip slips in here, man. And there was actually a betting prop, for the Super Bowl, whether there was going to be a wardrobe malfunction. I don't know what the over-under was, but you can pretty much bet on anything, man. It was like everything.
Yeah, I heard that there were bets for how long the national anthem was going to be sung.
Yeah.
But because of the law, that bet couldn't be made on American platforms, but Canadian gambling platforms could do it. And so people are making bets on that. It's just crazy, man. Come on.
Because you think because the Americans have sang it so much time, they can anticipate the timing and their probability of winning is higher. Is that what the thought process was? That
no, it was just an over under on how long the national anthem would be.
Yeah.
How the length of time, and I don't know. There's some law on the books, something to do with our national anthem that you can't bet on it or something. I don't even know what it was, but they said that none of the American betting platforms could put that prop bet up. It was just the Canadian betting platforms that had it. So,
but I'm saying the reason being, I'm thinking is because they think that Americans would win because they kind of know they've timed it and they could win. The odds of winning are higher because they're American because they know the anthem. I don't know. It's weird logic though. Why they would not?
I don't know. I mean, just the fact you could bet on that sort of stuff is just so silly.
It's weird. And there was another one, like, how many times are they going to show Taylor Swift? There was like an over under how many times she's going to be viewed. It was just pure stupidity. The coin flip, just you could bet on anything, literally. There was another one on a streaker. Will there be a streaker?
Right, there was a streaker one, and it was like 40-1 odds on one of the platforms, and wow, they took a bath on that one, didn't they?
Well, one guy was joking about the streaking. He goes, "Okay, I'm gonna bet on myself because it pays out well. So if you put $10,000, there'd be a streaker, and then you actually streak, right?
Right.
And if you're the streaker, you can double or triple your money." So I think one guy made a joke about that, saying, I bet there's going to be a streaker, and I became the streaker, and I made money doing it. You just spend one night in the slammer, right? In the drunk tank or whatever.
And you get banned from the Super Bowl for life, but hey, man, at 40-1 odds, yeah, you make it happen, We're
gonna have to get you ready for the Super Bowl next year. We're gonna have to get you to strip down and run.
Right. Well, what we'll do is we'll put prop bets on there being 2 streakers at the Super Bowl, and we'll both do it. Come on.
You do it, and I'll collect the paycheck. How about that? That's so funny, man. We should do it.
If one streaker is 40-1 odds, the odds of 2 streakers is got to be like 500-1. Come on, man. True. We gotta make this happen, and we will. It will totally pay for the trip, and we'll be rich.
Yeah, but nobody wants to see my hairy back. That's the thing. Nobody wants to see that.
Well, they won't show it on TV anyway. It's so funny. Whenever the streaker happens, they're just focused on the players. You don't actually see it, and the only way we actually saw the streaker was through people streaming it from their phones.
That's right. All right, next Super Bowl, look out. Jim's coming out for you, not me. All right, we're out, guys. There's our live stream. We're gonna do more of these, guys. Subscribe, thumbs up, and second year standouts here for you. Jim, thanks, man. That was a lot of fun.
All right, yeah, good time.
We're out. Talk soon.